Hello, my brothers and sisters in identity, all our Jewish brethren around the world and the universe. I'm Lev Nelik. I'm recording this small clip, a video to our weekly topic. We have a group, we call it the Perplexed. And the reason we call ourselves the Perplexed because we're not really professional rabbis, and many topics we're discussing, we don't know that much about it. We're looking for someone to answer our questions, and we discuss things, and we're friends to each other. And over the years, over the months and years, we develop a certain respect for each other's opinion. And even though opinions can be opposite or different slightly a lot, we take it with respect and love, and from information standpoint. So every Tuesday at 8 o'clock Israeli times, we have our 40 minutes or so Zoom. And we begin this with a short topic. We call it 14 minutes warm-up presentation. We talked about Kabbalah, Rambam, Rashi, Rambam, sports, fishing, different things. A lot of it relates to Torah, but sometimes we deviate into music, violin, other instruments, friendly discussions. So for this coming Tuesday, which will be, let's see, that's today, the 5th of December, 2022. It will be on 6th of December, that's tomorrow, on Tuesday, 8 o'clock Israeli time, 1 o'clock US time. We will kick it off with the topic of heroes and villains in Torah, or maybe misunderstood heroes and misunderstood villains in Torah. Sometimes our perception might be playing tricks on us. So I will start it off with this suggestion. Now, please correct me because I obviously have very limited knowledge. I checked a little bit with Aaron Schaefer on that. He is much more knowledgeable. He's not only a scholar on Torah, but he's also a tour guide, and his knowledge is a lot greater than mine. So he gave me some of the feedback, but I need more of that. So for what I know right now, let me show my limited understanding. And then on tomorrow, on Tuesday, we discuss it. Let's correct it, and maybe we'll have more qualified people jump in and turn my head straight to make sure that my misunderstanding is correctly, hopefully lovingly and without too much anger. All right, like for example, I personally always felt, I think the traditional view of Terach, a father of Abraham, Nahor, and Haran, is a villain, so to speak. He is an idol worshiper, part of idol worshippers in Ur Kasdim, Haran and Ur Kasdim, and of course, and his sons are not that much better, except of course Abraham, who is our forefather and the starter of our Jewish identity. But I find, if from a midrash, as if I understand it correctly, when Isaac was born and Abraham was doing Brit, he invited his father. His father came. Many other friends and family members came from Babylon, from that area where they lived, with to make a good party. So relationship between a father and son were not exactly severed. And also, I think of that when they left Ur Kasdim, Terach actually left. Torah says Terach left, and he took Abraham with him, Abraham and Lot and Sarah with him. So he's not exactly the guy, in my view, that is really bad idol worshiper and just will turn Abraham on to the local king to burn him on the stake for coming up with a new heretical ideas. So I see Terach actually not in such a bad light. I have a lot of respect for him. This just my feeling from what I see from a Torah and from Midrash and from other sources. Take another example. Elisha ben Avuya, as one known as Acher. He is a heretic. He saw, we talked about this before. He saw somebody climbing the tree to fulfill the mitzvah of chasing the bird off, take her eggs or little birdlings, and he fell and he got killed, and another guy that wasn't observant, and he didn't get killed, and from there he said, where's your justice, God? And he became heretic. Nevertheless, Rabbi Meir, his student, remained his student, and he continued being his diligent student, even though he understand that there is certainly some area of disagreement between him and his teacher. One of his teachers, Rabbi Akiva, was, I guess, Rabbi Meir's main teacher, but Elisha ben Avuya was also his teacher. He respected him a lot. And if you look and if you read, if you understand more about background of Elisha ben Avuya, you find that he was searching. He was looking for answers, and maybe he was brushed off. Talmud says when you chastise somebody, you have to push him off with the left hand, but you have to pull him in with the right hand. Gevurah strength must be modified with hesed, with mercy. When we don't have that, then we have problems, and nobody reached out to him, and perhaps that was contributed to the problem. He was searching for answers, and people probably told him, listen, we're studying Torah 24 hours a day. We don't have time for your nonsense. It's just burn. And maybe I'm dramatizing that, but I can see that some neglect and apathy towards the person who is looking for answers resulted in tragedy. Well, that's another one. Well, another one is I want to talk today about Amalek. Well, what I want to share with you is this. Traditionally, I always thought, and I have the feeling that most of you probably would agree, that we all see Amalek as a very nasty person. It's a person, it's a tribe, it's an area, it's an idea, it's a spiritual entity even within us. Kabbalah looks at it one way, Torah, Talmud looks at it another way. Overall, not a good thing. Amalek is internal enemy of Israel, and the Torah specifically tell us wipe out the memory of Amalek from under the heaven, of course, not over the heaven. That's something to talk about it. So when it says don't wipe his memory above the heaven, but only under the heaven, makes us stop and think why there is a limitation on that. So who was Amalek? Why he's so bad? Well, traditionally, I think you would say, I would bet that, he's a descendant of Esau. Esau hates Jacob. And he is a descendant of Esau. He is actually Esau's grandson. Esau hates Jacob, so obviously its hatred comes through to his whole family, and they can't wait until wipe out any future of Jacob. And when Jews leave Egypt and going through the territory through Sinai, Amalek attacks them, and we know the story in Torah. What happens? Now, I usually use Torah, this one here. That's Art Scroll as a stone edition Torah, which is, most Americans, I think, use this book. And this is traditionally, this is what I use. This is what I learn at home. I also have another one, also 5 books of Moses, and that is, let me show you to you. That's Pentateuch and Haftorahs. Okay, that's the Hertz editor, late chief rabbi of British Empire, and you can find it in many Orthodox synagogues. You can find them also in conservative synagogues, maybe in Reform. I don't know. Sometimes I heard that people have a little bit more observant, maybe Orthodox, have some issues with some commentaries because maybe it doesn't have the same weight, not stringent or orthodox enough. I'm not sure, but I used both. This is a book I had for many years, and I like to read. I find the commentaries very interesting. But usually when I learn Torah, I use Art Scroll Torah book. That's my kind of default book. But let's look at Amalek and understand that. Let me go and share the screen with you so I can get this picture here. Okay, sharing the screen. So let me look now. Get to the file. Okay, here you go. I have religious illustrations. So, this is a route that the Jews took from Egypt. Oops, I have a better chart. Where is this route? Here it is, Exodus route. Aaron Schaffer told me, Lev, don't put your bets, don't go on these routes and maps, all this nonsense, a bunch of stuyot. There's many routes, nobody knows exactly how they work. Fine, Aaron, I agree with you. However, I just pick one as an example. I think it's probably more traditional understanding of the route, although I'm sure there's a meaning. So here it is. It's Egypt, Sinai Peninsula, and over into the Canaan, eventually Palestine, Israel. So they are living from Ramses, and this is stops 1, 2, 3, crossing the sea, keep going towards Sinai in the south, and right here in the let me increase in Rephidim, they're attacked by Amalek. That's before Sinai. It's the first year of Exodus. They're attacked by Amalek, and we know the story. It's a big battle. It's not just a couple of guys, a couple of hooligans come down the mountain and harass them. There's a lot big battle, lasts all day. That means there was a numerous population, maybe 100,000, 200,000 people. There's 3 million Jews walking, and they're attacked from the rear by the significant contingents. I mean, the battle wouldn't last the whole day. It was just like 5 guys on the 5 camels or horses attacking them. Okay. So Israel survives. Israel keeps going, and it goes to Sinai. They go through a land of Ishmael in the south of Sinai. Even that is also a little bit problematic. Many rabbis, I think, will say Ishmael actually was on Saudi Arabia side, more to the east. But be as it may, Israel goes 3 million people moving up towards the Gulf of Aqaba, and they arrive. So they first coming through the wilderness of Sinai. They coming attacked by Amalek, getting a Torah later on in Sinai. Keep going north, coming to what's today, let's say, Eilat in the wilderness of Paran. And then before they coming to, they want to go to Israel. They could have come to Israel from one all along the coast, but we all know the story. It was a couple of days' journey. It didn't happen because Philistines were afraid, and we know the reason for 40 years wandering in the desert when Israel was enriched within days. Anyway, so they keep coming north. They're going through the wilderness of Paran. And from here, let's say those of you who drove from Eilat to Tel Aviv or Jerusalem or Beersheba, you know this Route 90 right along this way toward the Dead Sea. I often drive that, and then I stop at the Dead Sea for a swim or for bathing in the Dead Sea. So, but Israel wants to go to, the nation wants to go to Israel, to the Promised Land. So they keep going like that into Kadesh Barnea. From here, we know the story about the spies. Things don't happen, don't go well. And then as they keep on going further north, Edom, which is Esau, is preventing them from crossing. And I would approximately Edom somewhere here, south of Dead Sea, a little bit to the east, towards where current southern Jordan is, and a little bit to the west, towards south of Beersheba. They can cross. I put this note, Amalek, question mark also with exclamation sign. We'll talk about it in a minute. So Israel basically turns around because Edom doesn't let them go through the wilderness of Zin, not Sin, but Zin, and they come back, reach, and then making a turn around Edom from other side because Edom, their brothers, Esau's Seir, Mount Seir, where Edom is, and that's a promised territory to Esau. Basically, God says, don't harass Edom. They're not nice. They're not treating you good, but it's your brothers. Don't get in trouble. Israel goes to the east of Edom, then Moab, Ammon, then later on Amorites. They end up in Jericho, crossing over to Jericho into Canaan, in Israel now, and we know the story. So the question now is saying, okay, who is Amalek? Who is Amalek? Amalek is a grandson of Esau. So it's one of the Esau descendants, grandson. Esau had many other descendants, so it might be all together. Well, how did Amalek end up attacking Israel 39 years later over here in the south of Sinai Peninsula, in near Rephidim? How did he get here? Again, the map might not be right. Maybe that was not the route, but assuming one of the many versions, even rabbinical version, that was a correct route, the distance from here, from Eilat, to the south of Sharm el-Sheikh, right now, to south of Sinai Peninsula, is approximately 300 kilometers, maybe 6 hours, no, maybe about 3 or 4 hours drive. By foot on horses, it will take a long time. Most of Sinai Peninsula is rocky, and the eastern side of that is a little bit more green, not a lot of green in Sinai. But where Edom is, this side is more green. So from this point on, from Kadesh Barnea and north, everything gets a little bit better, greener, and the pastures, and it's good for the sheep. And Edom, semi-nomadic tribe. Aaron Schaffer told me they're semi-nomadic, not exactly nomadic tribes as other tribes might be. And they are standing here on the pastures, and closer to the water, the greener it is. So Israel goes around them. So nomads usually travel all over the place to get food for their sheep. But why would they take their sheep from the green pastures over south into Sinai, where there's really not that much green? It's rocks. So if you take your sheep somewhere, you probably will take them to the east, somewhere towards Babylon, somewhere towards maybe Saudi Arabia, but not really in a desert where there's nothing there. Now, if those of you who are historians and geographers, if you know that actually it's not true, yeah, there's an area, oases in Sinai that is green, but there's not that many of them. Shepherds, I think, not likely will go to this area. So the question is Amalek here, or is Amalek here with Edom? If his descendants of Edom, if the grandson of Esau, he should be close by. So let's take a look at another slide. If you look at the trees, and we'll talk about Esau tree. Well, before we go to Esau tree, let's open up in Terah. So here's a Terah, 3 kids, Abraham, Haran, and Nahor. Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar, Keturah, Lot. And then down from Isaac, we have Esau and Jacob. This is Jacob's family, the 12 kids, plus Dinah, the 13th girl, and Esau. So if you go to Esau area, here's Esau tree. Here's Esau. So Abraham and Sarah, and then Hagar on the other side. Between Abraham and Hagar, there's Ishmael. Between Abraham and Sarah, there's Isaac. Isaac and Rebekah have Esau and Jacob. Esau married 3 women: Besamat, Ada, and Oholbama. Okay. Besamat is a daughter of Ishmael. So between Esau and Besamat, there are mix essentially of Abrahamic seed through Ishmael and through Esau. I guess probably not so nice, you would say. Although even that I would question, because Ishmael and Isaac reconciled in the end. When Abraham died, they buried. And Midrash, I believe, says that they made up. So even then, even from that standpoint, we shouldn't jump on Ishmael too quickly and condemn him as a completely bad guy. There was something good about it, as we all have something good in us. And that's what we should look for. But be as it may, one of the wives is, and the children from her are coming from the seed of Esau and seed of Ishmael. So Abraham's seed through Ishmael and Esau the mix. The second one, Ada. And who is Ada? She is a daughter of Elon the Hittite. This is Seir, Mount Seir, Seir the Horites. He had many, around 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 children, and the whole bunch, all this family, all of them essentially living in Mount of Seir, eventually get overrun by Esau descendants. Esau gets Seir. There's a lot of incest, nasty things going on here, just like on the western side of the Canaan. But this is not what's going on the eastern side, so to speak, a little bit southeast or south from the Dead Sea. Nasty things, incest, fathers, daughters, not even worth looking at right now. But from that comes in Oholibama, and she is another wife of Esau. From them, there's the 3 kids over here, and the whole story is a Korach. It's a different Korach, whose son it is, but we can talk about later. Ada and Esau have Eliphaz, and Eliphaz and Timnah is the daughter of the seer, the Horites. Timnah is a concubine of Eliphaz, and between them, Eliphaz has children from his legitimate wife, and then from Timnah he has Amalek. So Amalek is essentially the grandson of Esau. Midrash says that Jacob actually raised or contributed a lot to Eliphaz. And Eliphaz, Rashi says, is one of the better ones from all other descendants of Esau. Nice one. In fact, when Esau instructed him to go and kill Jacob on the way to Laban, Eliphaz couldn't do it because he knew that he was raised by his uncle Jacob when Esau was hunting and not spending time at home. He couldn't bring himself up to killing Jacob, so Jacob suggested, take my possessions. So robbing the man is like killing him. Eliphaz fulfilled that, and that was excuse not to harm his beloved Jacob, his beloved uncle. So the person like that, Eliphaz, having produced Amalek, wouldn't you think that Amalek had something good about him if his father Eliphaz was raised by Jacob or contributed by Jacob a lot? Hard to believe that he didn't have this characteristic. So Amalek, and if you really didn't have too many good characteristics, you can ask yourself why Jacob didn't spend more time with his grandson Amalek to straighten him out. So if Amalek was really a bad guy, just from this, you would say, well, he wasn't such a great guy, but he would really not be the worst of the number one enemy of the Jews. Number one enemy, Amalek. Really? Having his father that was raised by Jacob and knowing Jacob, he really had no love for him at all? Maybe, but it's a little bit strange on the surface. So that's the Amalek. Now let's take a look at this next slide. Next slide is, I took a copy from this Torah, second volume of Hertz edition, and I found this, page 51 in this book, this little note. Let me expand it. So it says here, okay, this talks about Genesis 14:7, and they turned back and came to En Mishpat, the same as Kadesh, and smote all the country of the Amalekites and also Amorites that dwell in Chazon Tamar. So if you look at and that's happening, of course, the first year of Exodus. Sinai didn't happen yet. So here's a comment here. All the country of Amalekites, more accurately, the field of Amalekites and nomad people living between Palestine and Egypt, and later on attempting to prevent the Israelites from entering the peninsula of Sinai. So are they descendants of Esau? Are they from a grandson of Esau, or son of Eliphaz? Well, if you continue reading here, it says the phrase, all of the country of Amalekites, must be understood to mean the country afterwards inhabited by the Amalekite. Midrash, Rashi mentioned that. Esau's grandson was named after a chieftain Amalek, who had founded the Amalekite people. That's Nachmanides. Rambam is saying that. Okay, so Rambam is saying that there was a tribe of Amalekites with a chief Amalek, and Esau's grandson, for some reason, he liked that, maybe for a bad reason, and he named his grandson, or Eliphaz named his son, Amalek. Happened to be the name of the chief of Amalekites. So it wasn't the same Amalek or not the same Amalek. Now, who are these people? These people, Amalekites, we know the Amalekites, going back to our previous route. Go to the route chart, and we'll increase it a little bit, and we'll see that, all right, if that happens 39 years distance, well, they traveled all over peninsula, but that area by Edom, where Edom didn't let them through, happened 39 years after what happened near Sinai in Rephidim. And we know, Torah says, Amalek attacked them here. So I would venture to challenge you to think that is it possible that that Amalek is the same Amalek as a grandson of Esau, and Gray and a was his father raised by Jacob himself? Well, if for that to happen would mean that Amalek might have split from Edom at some point and moved way down here to the area which wasn't really that green and not that much for the pastures. And then they attacked the Jews. Possible. So that's the same Amalek. But with this Amalek attacking the Jews, being so hateful of the Jews, again, to my point, having background of the family of, wouldn't you think that Edom, Esau's land, that Seir, that Edom was given, that Esau was given by God, Edom was, he had, as we just saw from another chart, other descendants who were not raised by Jacob. He didn't know Jacob at all, but they knew from Esau how bad Jacob is in his eyes. They would have a lot more reasons to hate Jacob than Amalek, who did have connection to Jacob through his father, Eliphaz. So that doesn't sound from this that it's Amalek, the same Amalek. That must be Amalek as Rambam indicates, and of course, perhaps I'm misunderstanding the natural Hebrew words in Midrash, and I would like to see that. I didn't see, and perhaps I'm misinterpreting this, but in my view, that is not the same Amalek. These people, in my possibility, lived in this area. They hated God. They hated everything good. They were just savages, barbarians. And when they knew the Jews with God coming this way, in their hatred, they attacked them. They didn't attack them because they were descendants of Esau. It's not ancestral hatred. It's just hatred because this is a tribe of the most hated people living here and hating Jews living wonderful land of Goshen, getting all the good stuff, then finally coming free and going to Canaan to establish state, their own state, their own country, when they're stuck here and just doing all this idol worshiping rites and whatnot. These are the people that in Rephidim, that the real Amalekite initial tribe is. Those are people that were supposed to wipe out from under the sun. But Amalek, who probably stayed with Edom, with the South descendants, was basically like similar to their other relatives here in Edom, probably better one of them. And even though he wasn't very nice, including Edomites towards Israel, not to let them pass through, but he didn't attack them. There was no war. They came with the army, tell them, listen, let's not make any trouble, go around. Jews went around their territory, around Moab, and basically there was no major trouble between them. That's the area we'd like to discuss on Tuesday. Maybe, like I said, disclaimer here, I don't know if I am right. I don't know if other facts that I misstated. The map is, as Aaron told me, is only a map. It's only a guess. There's a bunch of maps. They're all made by rabbis and non-rabbis. Nobody knows for sure. St. Kathleen Monastery in South Sinai, maybe that's where Sinai was. Maybe not. Who knows where it was? But we have to make some assumptions, some possibilities. And one of the possibilities is such that we have to think about it. Now, why do I say that? I will finish it by, when we judge people sometimes too harshly without really knowing what's behind there, we create this unity. And what we need to do, in my view, to reach out, understand who is Elisha ben Avuya is. What caused him to go off the derech? Who was really Amalek? Who was really Terach? Who are the people whom we call villains and not the heroes? And we also have to look at our own ancestors. Jacob, for example, in the story with Esau, that he gets his birthrights. Some people might say there was a little trickery involved there. God told him to do it. His mother heard from the heaven in Jerusalem that prophetically that must be the starter of the dynasty of the Jews. All that's fine. We know it's from Torah. We'll probably learn it every year in a cycle of studies from Genesis, which we're going right now, and the rest of the Torah, Pentateuch, prophets, whatnot. But there's another side sometimes we overlook. We too quickly condemn somebody who's got potential, and we too quickly keep completely absolved from any issues that might have some issues. It doesn't mean, well, obviously, we have to have love and respect for our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and other ones, but we have to understand that as a human beings, they also might have made mistakes, and we also have to look at it and people who we think villains, that perhaps there's something good about it. And if we take that attitude, if we reach out to with people today with a different views, different attitude to life, to things in life, that will create more unity. And perhaps that is what messianic days are all about. That will cause our unity. That causes redemption when we look at the person and try to find something good in them. And perhaps that will be a good topic for our discussions. You may disagree or agree with me, or partially disagree, or partially agree. Some of you can say, I don't buy any of this, what you love is saying. Some might say, well, maybe you have a point. Let's learn more about it. Whichever position you'll take, I'm fine with it. I respect your views. I love you, my brothers and sisters, and I look forward to hear from you. If you have something to add to that, nicely, hopefully, lovingly, contributingly, and thoughtfully, if you think about it, that's maybe a good conversation topic at your Shabbat table to think about life. That's what 4,000 years ago Torah is all about, teaching us today. Don't jump too quickly to condemn somebody. First, try to understand, is it really that bad? Let's look at another possibility. Let's look at the potential in a human being. Thank you. Shabbat Tov. Or if you see it after Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Shabbat Shalom, Kol Tov, and hopefully I see you on Tuesday. Now, how do you get to our meeting? You log into Zoom every Tuesday, 8 o'clock Israeli time, and our password is 325 ID 325-804-5811. Again, 325-804-5811. Password 285775. Let me see if I can put it closer to the screen so you can see. Okay, it's right here. All right. Hope you enjoy my presentation. If you disagree with me, that's fine. I don't anybody to say, yeah, you're right. I want you to challenge it, but hopefully I understand it in a nice way, in a loving way. So I love you.